Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to Molten Modular. Today I wanted to give you an update on my modular journey in case you're wondering where the hell I've been. Well, I'd like to say that for the last couple of months I've been on a bit of a patch creating bender, emerging as a modular master. But no, and sadly I've hardly had any time at all to play on my lovely new rack, and almost as soon as I'd built it, it then just sat here gathering dust for a while, which is just awful. However, every now and again I do get a half an hour or so to play and to fiddle and to move things around and to go, and it totally is living up to my expectations. It's just that at the moment the journey is slow, and I imagine that's not an uncommon experience. However, I've learnt loads of things through my fiddling, discovered all sorts of wonderful bits and pieces, like for instance the maths. It's fabulous, just as everybody said it would be, although from my point of view for absolutely the most simplistic of reasons. So now that I have had a fair bit of time to play with it, although not anywhere near as much as I would like, what do I think of it? What are my thoughts? Was it all worth it? Well, yeah, an unqualified yes, absolutely it was worth it. It is such a thing. It's like, you know, it's like picking up your guitar, sitting down and play. Now I will sit down with this for half an hour, 20 minutes, and just play and fiddle, and it pulls a smile across my face, and you just go, whoa, and it's and ooh, and you get these sort of little nuggets of awesomeness that just flow out of it, you know, along with, you know, bits and chunks of frustration and head scratching and oh, but that's to be expected with a new bit of gear, I would say. I mean, first of all, I would say it's both harder and easier than I thought, if that makes any sense. I haven't opened a single manual for any of it because I'm not really into manuals, which is not always that helpful. I like to feel that I can intuit my way through it. And sometimes that really works, and other times it most certainly doesn't. I splashed out on the Arturia Beatstep Pro here for sequencing, and this gave me an enormous amount of frustration to start with. I plugged it in and patched it into my thing and got all sorts of strangeness coming out. Nothing like I thought it was supposed to be. I mean, with MIDI, you plug in a sequencer or you create a sequencer and it's there. It's there all the time. All the notes have individual values and it's perfect. With this, with control voltage, it can be all over the place. And I still need to look at this in a bit more depth. I mean, I've got it a bit more under control now. Things seem to be working a bit right, but not always. There's other things like the Polyvox filter. Doesn't work exactly as I thought it would. Maybe that's just me. I worry about the mixing of sounds. I've only got the one VCA. I mean, okay, it's a quad VCA, but I worry about how I put all those things together. Do I have enough of the basic building blocks to be able to hear? I've got 1, 2, 3 sound sources at the moment, and where those are going and how do I route the outputs? You know, I agonize over those things. You know, do I have all the right bits as I'm pushing this into the idea of being a performance rig? You know, I wonder if I'm doing it all right quite often. But did I make the right choices? Well, almost certainly yes. The STO and the wavetable are sublime. They sort of combine into this wonderful companionship of sound that they make, and I could listen to them all day. The other killer combination is the Batumi LFO. 4 LFOs in this little box running into maths. I mean, what you can hear in the background is this happening kind of right now. That's what it's doing. All the movement comes from the Batumi squished into maths and other bits and pieces as well, because I've got 4 LFOs to play with. It's an amazing thing. And in my little world here, it's just the best thing on the planet. So let me try to explain what it is that I've discovered about the maths. I mean, I'm using it in its most simple form. If I take my output from the STO, it's having its cutoff swept by the Batumi, as well as the shape of it, so I've got a nice bit of movement going on there, but it's a continuous drone. So what I want to do is use the maths as an envelope. So to very simply do that, you just take this fella out, whatever that is, I don't know, it looks like some kind of symbol. That plugs in to control the VCA. And now this envelope will control it. Now I need to trigger it. I can trigger it via my sequencer down here. Which is fine, but I don't want to do that. I want it to do it itself, and it has this wonderful cycle button that when you press that, it then triggers it by itself. You see the light flashing here, and then you can control how fast that happens. I've got an attack essentially at the top. So that's the attack. You hear that? You know, Make Noise calls it rise because they're crazy bonkers. Then you've got a fall, which is how fast it then goes the other way. So a sustained through to something a bit quicker. Then you can change whether that's log or exponential. I don't really understand why. All I know is that I've got this cycle going on of a note that I can make either with a short attack or with a long attack. But what's awesome is that I can take an LFO and plug it into this weird symboled thing here, and then that will start changing the rate of that for me. Do you hear the way that speeds up and then slows down again? That's just a beautiful, beautiful little thing. Now at the moment I'm using this to control the other side, which is running the wavetable here, doing a very similar job. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one, the LFO that's controlling the wave shape on the STO. I'm going to pull that out. And I'm going to plug that instead into the crazy button here on this side of the maths. So they've both got something weird going on. Now what's interesting is from the Batumi, what I discovered or what I looked at the other day was this little button here which changes the way the Batumi works. At the moment it's all on free, so these can be individually whatever speed you want them to be. I tend to like this sort of slow sweeping of things, so they always end up down here. However, with the press of this button, they start working together. So they're now in sync, I think. Or you can do them with that button, and then that starts to run them in and out of phase, or something. And the divide button does something else. And then back to 3. What I haven't got along with at all is this fella, the tip-top Z4000. What the hell is it? Well, it's an ADSR, so to me it's like, oh, it's an envelope, that's easy. I use that to manipulate the VCA to control the shape of the sound. That all sounds really easy, but I've never got it to work properly. It has this knob here and this knob here. I don't know what they do. It has a button that says shoot. I don't understand that. And an attack slope thing, lever. I wired it in and it didn't work as I expected. I didn't get this shape that I was after. It was just too hard. So far I've completely ignored it. I mean, I need to open the manual obviously and work out what it's about, but for the moment I'm ignoring it because it just doesn't seem to help. Whereas the maths, what I'm using the maths for is two envelopes. I've got two oscillators here. This provides two envelopes, triggering envelopes, which I've just demonstrated, and they are simple and easy and they work every time. I mean, why did I think I needed an ADSR? Why do I think I'll be making sounds that require that kind of shape? Surely I just really need an attack and a release. Really? Because most of the sounds I'm making are going to be probably quite short or droney. Maybe the envelope needs to then be applied to something else. Maybe I'm thinking about it all wrong. I don't know, but for blips and farts and noises, then envelopes are kind of irrelevant. You just need kind of a gate on and off to turn the sound on and off, perhaps. Yeah, you see, I'm still learning. I'm still working this stuff out. I've picked up a few extra modules, which I've squeezed in over here. I've got a trim, which I think I've used for sort of squashing an LFO, so it's not quite so up and down. Does that make sense? And the buffered malt here has really sorted out the sequencer from the Mother 32, which was giving some slightly strange pitch stuff, but when you run it through the buffered malt, it seems to sort all that out, which is nice. And also I use it for putting more Batumi around the place. You know, stick one of the LFOs into here, and then I've got a couple more I can send out to something else. It's great. I love malts. Those are a good thing. I got a Pico drums over here because, well, you need drums, don't you? I find I need drums. I mean, it's an exciting thing. I like the thing. Just to you know, it's got two drums in there, which is perfect. You've got a kick and a snare, and you can have the thing going on. You can just go dum dum, and that's what you need. That feels like you're bringing together a more complete system. I mean, drums is a whole thing that I want to look at. I mean, in my research of it so far and watching videos and bits and pieces, you know, it occurs to me that every drum sound kind of needs its own module, its own oscillator. And that's quite frightening because you're going to end up with a whole rack that's just drum sounds. Wow. So I don't think my head has got around that quite yet. Whereas the Pico drums, it's just got, you know, a whole bunch of samples in there, which sound pretty cool and are pretty usable. And you've got two going, and you can wire into two, trigger them off, and you've got some drum sounds. Brilliant. I mean, if I got two of those, it would probably be enough. But that doesn't seem to me to be the complete essence of modular. Modular, you want to be sort of crafting your own sound a bit more. So, yeah, I'm going to be looking into drum modules in a bit more depth once I have more space. More space. Talking of more space, you may notice that I am starting to spill out. And so I am in the process of getting the second row here sorted out so I can put some more stuff in. Don't tell anyone yet. The other thing I got through is the Turing machine. Now you may notice that it doesn't seem to have any knobs or a PCB or in fact anything at all. That's because those all came in this little bag. So I've got to build the thing. So that'll be fun. So that's a little project which I'm going to get onto shortly, and should be an hilarious video of me attempting to solder stuff together because my soldering skills are small, very small. And the other thing I got here is the very interesting and completely impenetrable Disting 4. I mean, I knew I wanted one for a whole raft of very interesting and important reasons. However, it's the least intuitive thing I have ever had, I think, in my life. I don't know what's in, what's out. I don't know what these do. It seems to change a number. That seems to change a number. And look, these glow and then they don't. Oh, it's blue. And then it's red. See, What is all that about? I have no idea. But I will get to it because it's fascinating and interesting and has loads of stuff inside that I want to get into. I just have not had the time. But I will, so bear with me on that. So am I still as pumped as I was when I first got it? Yes, absolutely. Playing with it is a complete joy. And I'm in the process of scheduling in some serious time to focus on individual modules and individual processes so that I can take it further. Because at the moment I'm kind of making interesting noises. I'm loving this relationship here, which is moving things about and making it go bubbly, 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 which is great. But I want to start sequencing properly, which I haven't done other than go and see what happens. And I want to bring the randomness of the Turing in, things like that. It's poised to develop beyond my fumblings, if that makes sense. And now is the time to focus on individual modules and do videos on that. I mean, I'm sure there are already videos on all these stuff. I mean, people keep sending me links to videos about how to learn the maths or to learn this, which is awesome. That's great. That's very, very helpful. But what I'm trying to do, I think, is to bring my own perspective to it, because I'm all I've got, really. I'm the only thing that's unique in any of this, is to bring the way I explain things to the party. And I tend to think that my sort of bumbling, stumbling, new user perspective can be helpful to people. So yeah, a lot more goodies to come. So first I want to give a big shout out to modularism. What is modulism? Well, modulism is a crowd-funded 6-album collector's box set of modular music. The idea was to gather together a diverse collection of modular fiddlers, musicians, artists, and people who are just patching like crazy to, I guess, produce a definitive snapshot of what modular music is like right now, sort of here and now, right when we're moving up into the mainstream. This is the beginning of it all. I mean, obviously it's been going around for years, we know that, but the emergence of it into a more mainstream place is happening kind of around us now, and it's very exciting, and there's a lot of fantastic music out there that we have no idea is happening. And so Phil from Law & Order Records has kind of curated all of this music into 6 whole albums worth. And it's currently on Pledge Music looking for funding, and it needs to do a lot better than it's doing currently to get to the point that they can produce the albums. The 6 album set on vinyl will set you back 85 quid, which may initially seem a lot, but it's not a lot for 6 proper high quality heavy vinyl records. You know, I think this is an important time, and I think this is a very important release that would sit really, really nicely on your record shelf and on your record player. It's also available as CD and a download, but the vinyl is really what you want. So check out the link in the description. It is, I think, completely awesome, and I would like to encourage you to get over there and treat yourself to some amazing music. My next video is going to be on DC coupling. Now, DC coupling is to do with audio interfaces and routing control voltage from your Eurorack into your computer and from the computer into the Eurorack. The DC coupled audio interface provides that gateway, that bridge between these two technologies. I'm sort of combining this with my Bitwig 2 review. Bitwig 2 has these hardware devices inside which allows you to generate control voltage and send it out to your Eurorack, provided you have a DC coupled audio interface. Now, I believe that needs quite a bit of explanation, really, so that we can grasp and unpack what the heck that's all about. So that's going to hopefully be my next video in the next week or so. My second shout out is for the Modular Meet in Leeds. Over the weekend of the 19th and 20th of August, Ben Divkid Wilson is hosting Modular Meets in Leeds. It's where they gather together manufacturers, makers of modular, along with modular users like you and me. The idea is that you can bring your rack along and show off to people all of the wonderful noises that you can make, as well as being surrounded by Erica Synths and AJH and Studio Electronics and other makers of modular synthesis. There will be performances, there will be workshops, there will be presentations and seminar type things, and an opportunity to chat about all things modular for an entire immersive Eurorack and modular weekend. What could be better than that? I am hoping to go. Will I take my rack? I don't know. It depends on how sort of small, insignificant and totally out of my depth I want to feel. But I might do. I haven't decided yet. And that brings me rather neatly on to my and finally, would anyone like to have a bit of a modular meetup in East Anglia? Would that be possible? Does it always have to be in some northern town or down in London? Or could it happen in a pub in Norwich? What do you think? Is there anyone out this way? Anyone out in the East Anglia kind of area of things who's into modular and would like to get together with like-minded, crazy people, knobs and patch cables kind of thing? You know, beer, modular, music, chat. What do we think? Is that something we could do in Norwich later this year or next year? If so, if that interests you, then do get in touch, because we can find just a bunch of people who want to get together. Then that's a modular meet right there. It doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to include masses of manufacturers and really posh stuff or anybody who knows what they're doing. We just need a room with a few plugs and speakers. Could be awesome. So yeah, if that's interesting you, get in touch, give me a shout, and let's see if we can put it together. So that's it for now. I hope your journey's going well. I'm certainly enjoying mine, and I'm looking forward to new paths and opening up new directions within all this malarkey. And in the meantime, go and make some tunes.